Hey YouTubers, Alex Bailey. So I've got my newspaper back, and now I get to actually keep up to date with, actual stories. Like the Boy Scouts might be uplifting the ban on their gay members. I'm sorry. Hey, before they weren't allowing gays into any of the scouts, and now they're like, ooh. So hopefully they'll be fixed soon. Hey, sorry, I'm slightly ill, so I'm like, oh. But I, had a story, so whatever. Now, the ban on women being in combat situations has been uplifted, which means that women are now allowed to be in combat situations. For those of you who don't know what uplifted means. However, there's talk of them lowering the standards in order to get more women on the field. I don't agree with this. If a woman really and truly wants to be in a combat situation, I think that they should have to work for it. I think that they have to lift the same amount of weight as men are required to lift. Either that, or they're going to have to make a totally new body armor gear than we have today, like a lighter and just as strong one, because let's be honest, that's where most of the weight is in, pretty much body armor designed to protect our soldiers, those in our military situations. However you want to vocalize that, I don't know. And it doesn't seem like a good idea, because also the guns that they're carrying. You want the women to be in combat situations, but in order to be in those combat situations, they gotta be able to lift up those guns, right? Right. It's kind of, they're really heavy. I held one once. It's like, they're heavy. But, if you have to train in order to lift that stuff, then you have to. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I think that it's a little ridiculous to think that we should lower the standards simply, to allow more women in, because then that also opens the gateway for weaker men to get in. Not that I have anything wrong with guys who can't lift, 300 pounds of what the fuck ever, but it's like, that's not entirely the best situation for them. I read an article. I've read articles over a period of 3 days, so I've pretty much got the gist of what everyone's thoughts are. I don't want to get too much, though, because I didn't want it to influence my own. But I did get to read a couple of issues, which was like, what happens if a female soldier gets captured? And, like the rape issue. In order to torture women, what's one of the best ways to do it? Well, sadly, it's our sex. That's one of the best ways to affect women. It's one of the most harsh ways, and it's also one of the best ways in order to make our families. It's one of those things that it's called a soul killer. Men who rape are called soul killers. It harms every aspect of everything. So the thought of putting women in those situations where they are really very likely to get raped scares a lot of people. And it scares me too. I mean, just thinking about it. But it's also not our choice. How do I put this? If a woman feels that she should be allowed to do this combat role, and she wants to with her heart and her soul, she wants to do this combat role, by God, if she's able to physically do it, let her. She knows the risks. The risks don't prepare you for anything, but at least she knows them. She knows that whoever might do this to her, if they're captured by enemies, they're the enemy. I don't know if that helps or anything. Fortunately, I only know about civil rapes. I only know about, stuff like that. I only know about women getting raped in the military by their peers. I only know about that. I don't know how women, I don't know. I don't know if it's any different. I don't know if it's any, not better, but easier to digest. I don't know if you're able to distance yourself more from it. I don't have the psychological analysis for this data in order to be affected positively or negatively by it. I can only assume. Being said, I'm going to move on now because I don't know. I'm assuming someone out there knows. There's also talk of women being drafted in the military, and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that one. I'm saying no on it, because in all honesty, it's bad enough that men are drafted, let alone women along with it. That just seems like a bad idea. However, I believe that if a woman wants to replace one of her male relatives and sign her name on the drafting card instead of allowing the male relative to join, they should have that option. For instance, when my brother turned 18 and he got his drafting card, despite the fact, by the way, that he has special needs, I will never understand that one. If we're drafted tomorrow and he actually gets called up, I will be so pissed off it's not even funny. But anyway, yeah. When he got his drafting card, I really wanted to call people up and start asking if I could sign my name on the card. I really and truly felt that I would survive better in any situation. I mean, let's be honest, I would. Than he would. Than most men would. But I'm not talking about most men. I'm talking about you are one woman and you have the chance to write your name on your brother's, or let's say your sons or your husband, not your sons, I think that it should be someone that you're close to in age with, and I think that once a man signs the card, it's done. It cannot be undone. However, if the boy turns 18 and there is a sister or some other female relative close in age there, and she does not want him to be able to be drafted, then she should be able to write her name on the card, her social security number on the card, and then send it on its merry way. And then she will get drafted instead of that male relative. Why do I feel that way? Now, I also think that the woman has to be at least 18 themselves, which would work with me, but not with brothers who are younger. So they totally have to rework the system. It would have worked for me, and I would have been happy with that, because I feel like my brother should not have signed that drafting card. I wanted to sign it. That's it. That's all I can say. That's all I want to say. That's all I've got on the drafting. Then there is talk of, what else is there? Other women who have been in combat situations in other countries. Yes, it's happened before. They did pretty well. They did extremely well. There's Canada, there's blah, 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 blah. I think Russia's somewhere in that blah. It's like, I don't know. In history, there have been American women spies who dressed up as men and then went to go spy on the enemy dressed as their natural woman self. It was really confusing, really awesome though, because they fooled their one side in order to gain the trust of their enemy, and then help the people that they were fooling in the first place. It's like, it's so confusing, but it's so awesome. If you were able to follow any of that, I commend you. What else? That's really it. I know that Germany uplifted the ban 10 years ago, and that now like 10% of their combat force, or whatever you call it, is women now. But they also kept the standards the same, from my understanding. They also kept the standards the same. These women had to work on a level beyond all comparison in order to get to this strength level. So, whether we like it or not, obviously this is going to happen. People want this to happen. It needed to happen. And another problem that one woman brought up that I will bring up is just because women want equal rights doesn't mean that we need to be in combat situations. This is, while I understand, wrong. I do understand her point of view in lines of the drafting. In all honesty, someone has to stay home and hold down the fort, and women, we pretty much hold the fort on our shoulders most days. Not me personally, I'm not a mom yet, but those who are mothers, yeah. She's also wrong for the reason that just because we want all the good things, we need the bad things as well, We need the name calling, and we need the taxes. And yes, we do need to be able to go into war. Is this always the best of ideas? No, it's not. Should they lower the standards so women can go into the combat situations? Hell no. This is just going to have to be part of our culture. We're already a gun culture. This is going to have to, we're pretty much at this point, I found out, catching up to Germany, who now has a 10% of their military is women in combat, or combat military is women, however you put that. But we want equal rights. We need equal rights. We're going to have to take this in order to get our equal rights, It can't all be shits and giggles, ladies. We have to also pick up a gun every now and again and shoot the, bad guy. This is Alex Bailey, signing out. Peace.